Hello everyone, how's it going? I need to remember to turn
Hi.
off the pretzel music, because I am a pro streamer. Done. Alright. Anyways, hello. Welcome to Your Brand, Your Business. This week, we're going to be talking about charity streaming. And, Ernest and I help with money stuff and all those kinds of fun things. But when it comes to charity, there's someone that we knew is a real expert that we need to talk to. So, I'm sure most of you know her, but I'd like to introduce MegKaylee as our guest this week. Hey, Meg!
Hi. I don't know if I'd say I'm exactly an expert. I feel like I learn
Expert.
stuff with every charity stream, but yeah, I love it a lot and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Also a humble guest is the key. Already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, say you've you've accomplished more things by age 21 than I did by 28 or so. So I think we can give you some credit there. Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, Your Brand Your Business is a show about the business and finance side of streaming, and one of the coolest things, in my opinion, about streaming in general and Twitch specifically is how really well integrated charity streaming is. Like, tons and tons and tons of money since basically the inception of Twitch. Even when people weren't making tons and tons and tons of money on Twitch, they were still doing all of that charity stuff. You've got all sorts of events like Games Done Quick. You've got the big drives that St. Jude does. You've got all sorts of just individual efforts. So I'd say the first thing that I'd like is, Meg, would you tell us first a bit about yourself and then a bit about your experience with charity streaming?
Sure. So my name's MegKaylee. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch, and my first charity stream was actually only a couple of months after I started streaming. I still had a fairly small channel, but I knew right away that that was something that I wanted to do. So the first charity that I chose was Make-A-Wish, just because I've always loved their mission and what they do. And at the time, my channel was smaller, so we didn't raise a crazy amount, but we raised something, and that's what matters. And I think, no matter the size of your channel, it's important to remember that no matter how much you raise, you're helping someone and going out of your way for people, and that's what matters at the end of the day. But so I didn't do another charity stream for a while because I thought, I want to focus on growing my channel and growing my audience, and then dive back into charity streaming when we can make an even bigger impact. And so that was what I did. And then I came up with an idea for Toys for Tots because something that I think is great with charity streaming on Twitch is it's live, so people are able to really see their impact in real time. You can donate and stuff pops up. You can make the streamer do something silly. But I was thinking, how can we fundraise for Toys for Tots, which is a charity that really means a lot to me. And I mean, it's the holiday season right now, so I'm sure it resonates with a lot of you guys too. The holidays are a really important time for many people, and it's heartbreaking to me that some people's families just cannot afford to have the kind of Christmas that I was fortunate enough to grow up with. So I wanted to help give that to other people, but I wanted my audience to be able to see what they were doing by donating. So I kind of thought, rather than fundraising directly for the charity, I made things a little more complicated, but I was really happy with the end product. I basically fundraised, and the money went to my PayPal, and then I took the money out of my PayPal. I brought it to Toys R Us, which is like everyone's favorite place to go as a kid, and I'm so sad it's gone. But I basically took the money in there, and my brother is like a pro at math. He was keeping track of, as we were putting toys in the carts, how much they were with tax and everything. And we basically bought as many toys as we possibly could. And I vlogged this whole process. And then I also vlogged when we dropped it off. And we actually got pretty lucky because the drop-off site that we went to had a Santa Claus there, and it was the Santa Claus who's in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Unfortunately, yeah, he was like,
Wow.
the
Low-key
real
name
Santa, the
drop.
most
Yeah.
genuine Santa I have ever seen. I felt like I was meeting the real Santa. So we had him in the video, and I felt like that really helped people to kind of see what difference they were making by donating, because they could really hear from the Toys for Tots employees what it really does for these families. And so then after that, I started fundraising for St. Jude as well, as part of St. Jude Play Live, which is, if you're unfamiliar, it's a huge event every May where a bunch of streamers come together to fundraise for St. Jude, which is another amazing cause. And so ever since then, I've just been fundraising for both. I also created Team Sin Squad, which is a stream team founded on community, positivity, interaction, just all of the positive values that I really love about Twitch and about streaming. And we've started fundraising together as well. So we fundraise as a team in addition to my individual fundraisers.
And what
So
was
that's
the
kind of
number for Play Live last year across all of Sin Squad? It was some ridiculous number.
It was just over 197,000, but I was extremely proud because we set the record for the highest amount raised for a team fundraiser campaign in all of St. Jude Play Live history.
That
So
is
I was very, very proud.
Incredible.
Well done.
And and that funds
It's all them.
St. Jude for like 4 minutes, right, or something like that. Their costs are crazy. It would because they're doing so much for families, but.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to keep it running. And the reality is, like, a lot of these charities, they can't keep doing what they're doing without donations, whether it's, donations from big companies or from streamers or from, just people who make the monthly pledges, whatever it may be. Really important that they fundraise. So if there's a cause you care about, it's great to help out however you can.
Yeah, and I know Twitch as a company also does a lot too, really incorporate. I think it's Alley Cat, right? They've got a person whose sort of full-time thing is this whole avenue, or this whole part of Twitch, this charity streaming piece of it.
It's always a part of the keynote at TwitchCon. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of the community and what it does to, give back with this wonderful platform that they built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, sort of beyond your general thoughts on charity streaming, one of the things that we were interested in hearing about is how do you evaluate charities that you are interested in fundraising for?
A lot of it, honestly, is stuff where I'm able to be very hands-on with it because that's just how I am. I like to be able to be up close and personal and see the difference that it's making. And most of the charities that I choose to fundraise for are just things that are near and dear to my heart. Toys for Tots and St. Jude. I have a little sister who's 10 years younger than me I am so close with her. We are like best friends, even though we're kind of at completely different stages in life. And I've just always had a soft spot for kids. And I was fortunate enough to get to actually visit St. Jude and meet some of the patients there. And it was one of the most, if not the most, life-changing thing I've ever done because it really helped me just look at the world completely differently and have more gratitude for the small things in life, like things like good health and stuff that a lot of us take for granted. I realized how much that really means. And I left that hospital just wanting to do literally anything that I could possibly do to raise as much money to help those kids get through what they're going through as I could. And so I think it's just causes where it's something like that where it strikes a chord with me in a more personal way. That's how I choose. I also recently fundraised for Crisis Text Line, and that was another one that just was very near and dear to my heart because I was severely bullied throughout middle school and high school. And I know what it feels like to be in that place of kind of feeling like you have nowhere to turn or feeling like there's no one really there for you. And so I kind of wanted to help use my voice to show people that that's not the case. And there are amazing resources out there like CTL and others that you can reach out to. So it feels great to be able to kind of spread the word on things that have impacted me more personally.
I would urge everyone in the chat, because you hit something that's very key, because I try to do it too, I think Galen does too, is if you can carve out a day, it should be easy enough to go volunteer somewhere at a charity that you find, that's important to you. Because like you said, Meg, it really helps reflect, add that reflection and be thankful for what you actually have and add perspective to your everyday life, because we get caught up in these moments and it's like everything is terrible. And, once you get that, you go to the hospital and you see, sick children in bad states and you're like, well, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought they were.
Yeah, absolutely. For Toys for Tots last year, they kind of gave me more information about how the toys go to families, and they actually set it up sort of like a mini store. It's crazy how organized it is, but it's like a little store, and families come in and they get like a little card that says how many kids they have, what their ages are, what they like, and then you can volunteer as a personal shopping assistant. So you get assigned to a family and you kind of help them navigate the room, pick out toys, and I got to do that last year, which was really cool because I actually got to see where a lot of the toys and things that I had fundraised for were going. And that was just really perspective changing as well, because you get to meet these families. And there was this one mom that I'll just never forget where she found, it was like a plushie from the movie Cars. And she started crying because she was like, oh my God, my son's going to love this. Cars is his favorite movie. And it just touched me so deeply to see this mom get so emotional over just a Cars plushie, something that so many of us would just walk past and not even look at because it's just a silly plushie, but it's so much more than that. So it's great to have those experiences because it just changes the way you see everything.
There's nothing like seeing that face and that kind of light behind the eyes when that happens. There's no feeling, I think, that you can compare to it on Earth. So
yeah, I completely agree.
So one thing though, that we also wanted to ask is kind of, you're a full-time streamer, you got the GameStop stuff, you've got, you're really busy, right? You've got a lot going on, I think you have the streamer disease of overcommit, right?
Just try scheduling a meeting with her.
Right. So the one thing is, how do you find that balance from giving back with kind of your everyday kind of just business operation? So how do you determine how often do you want to stream? Are you at the point now where you do it at set times? Kind of what's your process for that?
So I think generally it's very, very important to put your happiness first and your mental health first, which was something I learned the hard way. Last year, I just completely kept overexerting myself and pushing myself and saying yes to everything and doing everything. And it was kind of like I would look at my schedule and freak out because I would be like, how am I going to do all of this? Because it was just so much stuff, because I always want to take advantage of every opportunity I can, and I want to make the most of my time. But I posted about it a while ago, and somebody responded with something that resonated with me ever since, where they said, you can't give from an empty cup. And I loved that, and I think it's so true. You have to make sure that your own cup is full before you start trying to pour into others. And so it's important to step back sometimes and take care of yourself. And if you're a full-time streamer, streaming is also your full-time living. So that is something that you really need to take into account when you're doing fundraisers as well. And make sure that you're budgeting and planning ahead financially so that you're able to afford to be able to do a fundraiser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if nothing else, because the charities want you to have this be something that you routinely do. They don't want you to go all out one year, burn out, and then never do it again. They want to keep growing these movements, and the best way to keep doing that is to have really enthusiastic people who can do it sustainably. So I think you're absolutely right on the planning ahead, making sure that you yourself are covered so that you aren't, burning out, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it kind of goes to the principle too. Say some tragedy happens, and when everyone goes and donates blood, that doesn't actually, a lot of it ends up being wasted. I mean, it doesn't, not to diminish people giving, but it's actually better to kind of give throughout the year, as opposed to waiting for this, bad thing to happen and then give blood at that point. I think the same principle you can apply to, charity, right? Yep. You can't just give away your entire bank account and then, be like the Monopoly guy, go to jail, hands out of pocket. You have to kind of space it out and kind of plan for that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, and frankly too, sometimes it can just be harder around tragedies. So we, within the past month, had the mass shooting here, and I was looking to go donate blood the next day, and I couldn't.
They turned you away, I bet.
They turned me away because I wasn't a negative donor, and they had so many. So the good news is they had so many people volunteering. The bad news was, even if I was interested in doing it at that point, they were just frankly logistically overwhelmed by it. So yeah, I think the making it a routine thing as opposed to a reactionary thing is definitely an important thing for your sustainability and for the charity's sustainability. Because I'm sure, they wouldn't have turned me away to donate any other day, right? It was because of the reactionary thing to that. Have you ever used Meg? So St. Jude is pretty widely respected for being really a great charity. My dad, who is a retired physician and is extremely cynical about big institutions, has nothing bad to say about St. Jude. The work they do, the research they share, all that kind of thing. But have you used anything like GiveWell or something like that to vet potential other charities, or do you have resources that you recommend people look at when they're vetting charities?
So I think probably if you're going to be streaming to fundraise, a really good place to start is Tiltify. Right on the Tiltify site, you can see all of the different charities that are compatible with their platform. And it's definitely the easiest way to fundraise for your stream because, you can have alerts set up, you can have an overlay set up super easily. And all of the money from Tiltify goes directly to the charity. So when people donate, when your viewers donate, they'll get a receipt from that charity directly. The money doesn't touch you at all. It just goes right to the charity. So that's probably a good place to start because there are so many different charities on there. And then from there, you can kind of find causes that resonate with you and do a little bit more research on their responding sites.
Okay.
So two things, three things actually. I'm stealing something from what Sissa said in chat. It's not, don't stream for a response, stream for a belief. Kind of
I love that.
In our conversation, it's really good. The second thing was, so this is me as the tax accountant chiming in here. It's really bad when the donations touch your PayPal account and then you've got to send them out. So ideally they should never come to your account because then the charitable organization can issue the tax form to the donator. And so it's just easier to do that. That's the best practice. Always try to set it up in that way. And then you were doing a bunch of Tiltify stuff at TwitchCon this past year, right, Meg? Because I can't remember. I was running around and I would like pass the Tiltify stage. It's like, hey, there's Meg up there. And then
yeah, it was really awesome.
Like, hey, Meg's still there.
Yeah, I got to interview a lot of different representatives from different organizations. And that was really cool because it's when you're talking to the people who work for these charities, you really see their passion and their love for that work just pour out when you're talking to them. And it was honestly, those are some of my favorite interviews I've ever done just from all that passion.
Mm-hmm.
So on that here, so let's see how smooth the segue is. So talking to other people, have you ever collaborated with someone during a charity stream? How do you decide you want to do that? Do you bring them in, like if you're doing an extended stream, do you bring them in for a specific portion, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely involve other people. I kind of have a couple different things to talk about here. So the first group of people I tapped into was my family. They are amazing and so supportive, and they're always on board to do stupid things with me for charity.
So your dad jumped into a pool, right?
Yeah,
Fully clothed?
So something that I want to encourage is friendly competition. Of course, you're all competing for the same team if you're all raising money for charity, but friendly competition really helps to drive donations. So something that really worked for me was polls, which you can set up through Tiltify. And so I set up a poll where I basically, you could donate and it was like $1 was one vote. And you could donate to vote towards who you wanted from my family to jump into the freezing cold pool fully clothed. And so it was me, my dad, my boyfriend, Mr. Fig, and my brother. And for some reason, it was just like a close battle between me and my dad. And I was pushing everyone towards my dad because I'm like, don't you want to see this grown man in his business wear, like jumping into a pool? And it ended up winning. So he ended up jumping in the freezing cold pool in his nice like business clothing, which was really hilarious. But that's just one of the many ways I've gotten them involved. I've also had my brother and my dad do each other's makeup. I've done dance with both of them. And then people in chat got to vote who they thought was the best dancer. And the person who lost had to take like a shot of some weird salad dressing. We've done all kinds of just goofy things. And it's really fun to have more people involved because it's something extra special. You know, I don't have my family on stream with me every day. So to bring them out for that kind of event is really special. And then I also did something online with Not Jen and Little Siha where we basically had one day where we said, all right, today we are going to compete to see which of the three of us can raise the most money for St. Jude on our corresponding stream teams. And the winner gets to tell the loser to do something. And so I ended up winning and I got to have Little Siha eat a spoonful of Marmite, which was hilarious. But those kinds of fun challenges they're really great for driving donations because it drives that competition in people. And again, at the end of the day, you're all on the same team because all the money we were raising was going to St. Jude anyway, but it just helps to get things a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, I know Nega Oryx had her poll where if a certain amount was raised, her chat was voting on what color she would dye her hair next. And I've seen that with beards too. And then I know
a kiddie pool involved or something, right?
No, that was totally different. That was a different thing. And then I know Loco, who is a huge fan of pineapple, naturally, had a whole bunch of pineapple-based incentives and Bean Boozled type incentives and those kinds of things. And just having those suffer for charity things or competitions amongst the chat really seemed to add up. I mean, like impressively. So Loco raised a crazy amount of money for St. Jude. You did all that. So like. I think you're absolutely right on the make it a fun thing and not just a
and you're right, the gross stuff really gets people going too. I had another thing where I basically had a plain simple pizza and people could donate for different toppings like pepperoni and stuff. That was cheap because I don't care about pepperonis being on my pizza. Pineapple was like $300 and anchovies were $500 because I don't eat seafood. None of my family does fish or anything fishy, and we ended up raising a ton of money through this pizza because people wanted to see me eat stuff that I didn't want to eat.
Did it have pineapples and anchovies on it?
It was terrible. Pretty much all of the toppings were redeemed. It was like a supreme, like everything you could have on a pizza on the pizza. I think the people at Papa John's thought I was crazy.
I haven't had anchovies and pineapple, but that doesn't sound terrible because it's salty and sweet. So like, I don't know if that flavor profile would work. Because I do bacon and pineapple every now and then. So that's like savory and sweet. That's not bad.
There you go. Yeah, it kind of balances.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I couldn't eat it. I was gagging the whole time, but it was for a good cause, so it was okay.
Yeah.
So that was it. The next thing we had on here relates first to the question that we got in chat, and then for sort of a two-parter. First is, how do you go about setting your charity goals, your sort of incentives, and then also how do you go about? Do you have an end goal in mind where are you streaming for a certain amount of time for charity? Are you streaming for a certain dollar amount for charity? So how do you go through that process?
Sure. So I think when you're choosing a time, I've kind of experimented with how long I stream just to see what works best. And I remember when we went to the St. Jude Play Live Summit, something that they mentioned is sometimes urgency is the best thing. Sometimes if you do a 24-hour or a 12-hour, like this is our only time streaming for this charity this month right now, sometimes that will end up driving more donations than if you're streaming for the whole month.
Okay.
Just because it's that sense of urgency, that sense of we need to donate right now to get to this goal right now. When you're deciding your goal, it can be a little tough, especially if you're new to it. Now what I kind of do is I'll look at previous streams that I've done, charity streams, and kind of base it off of that. But I think it is better to start small and then have stretch goals that you add after you reach that initial goal, rather than have a goal that ends up being too high that you aren't able to reach. Just because I feel like that helps you as a fundraiser and your community as people contributing to this fundraiser celebrate a little bit more, because you're hitting more and more goals along the way.
Okay. Do you have a structure for how you are laying those goals out? Like, is it every 1,000? Is it every, like, some sort of multiple or something like that? Or is it just more you're sitting there in the moment figuring it out?
I feel like for me, it's sometimes more I'm just kind of sitting in the moment figuring it out. Like I'll just eyeball it and be like, where does the spacing for this make sense? If I have like a ton of giveaways that I'm including, then I will usually do like every 100 or every 500 or something like that.
Okay.
If I don't have giveaways and it's just more so like silly incentives, you also have to keep in mind, you don't know how quickly you're going to be hitting these goals. If you hit like 5 of them at once, then you're going to have like a big long list of all these things you have to do. So you have to bear in mind, if you are including challenges as rewards, how long is it going to take? What do you need for that? When are you going to do it? That kind of thing too, so that you have it all sort of planned out in your head.
What's your creative for? Do you have like a brainstorming session with like people you trust in Discord, or kind of what's that process like?
So I actually have an ongoing list in my phone that's just like ideas for charity streams that I will go back to and reference every time I do a charity stream, because sometimes I'll just be like in the shower on a random Tuesday and I'll have a really great idea that just comes upon me, even when I don't have a charity stream, in the near future or anything. So I'll just jot those down and then kind of go back to that. I'll also sit and, with my boyfriend and my family and just kind of brainstorm and come up with goofy ideas. And my mom always comes up with great ideas, so I'll go to her for sure. But yeah, I think having that collaborative brainstorming process can really, really help you come up with some unique ideas.
Okay.
Do you ever do a goal that you have to pay off later? Like, I'm going to do this, but it'll be, paid off after the stream, kind of, as a kind of like a Twitter video or like something you'll push to somewhere else?
Yeah, I've done that before. I think that actually is a good thing, because it kind of keeps the hype alive even after you're done with the fundraiser.
Yeah, and it kind of keeps you like the flow of the stream, right? Like it doesn't break it up too badly. Gotcha.
Exactly.
So the next thing we had was just a sort of a one-off question, but what is the easiest thing about charity streaming, and what can you also do just to make things easier in general?
Like for the people who are just like, I want to do one, but it's tough. It's a little intimidating. I want to make sure I do it right the first time. So there's something just real easy to make them think like, it's not as bad as I thought.
So it's maybe a little bit cheesy, but again, it's just that whole idea of no matter how it goes, no matter what you're doing, you are winning no matter what, because you're raising money for charity. Even if you don't hit your goal, or even if everything doesn't go off perfectly, you raised money for a great cause. And that's the really important thing. And my other advice would be to pace yourself for sure. It can definitely be daunting, especially when you see all these other people doing 24-hour streams for charity or like a month-long marathon. And maybe you see that and you feel like you have to do that. And you're like, oh, that's too much. I'm not going to be able to do this. Don't give up on it just because you're intimidated by what other people may be doing. Focus on what works for you, and just try it out. Again, no matter how much you raise, you're winning because you're raising money for charity. So don't feel like you have to do everything 100% perfectly or according to plan.
Okay. And I know, I'm pretty sure, like you were saying earlier, Tiltify has all of the infrastructure in place to basically just you enter in incentives and then you can start, right? Or more or less. So
Tiltify is so easy to use. There's a lot of really, really great tutorials. And I know Casper and Santa and a lot of other people at Tiltify, they are always very accessible, so you can reach out to them with questions and they can help you out. So yeah, it's an amazing platform for fundraising. Okay.
And what would you say is one of the unexpectedly tough things about charity streaming that you wouldn't know until you'd done it?
I think it's, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say the low points. I guess slow is a good term for it, because sometimes when you just start a charity stream, you have all these donations coming in, things are like really hyped, just bam, 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 you're flying past your goals. But then sometimes you have moments where things are kind of slow and you'll go a few hours where no one's really donating anything. And that can definitely be a little bit tough and a little bit discouraging. But my advice to deal with that is you can always just remind people, no matter at what point in your stream you have viewers coming in and out, it doesn't hurt to ever just be like, hey, if you're just coming in and you didn't know, we're fundraising for this charity. And you could donate as low as $5 to make me put a freaking googly eye on my face. And you can list off some of your incentives. You could talk about your next goal. Having those things displayed on screen, I think, really helps too. If you have like next goal, like $5,000, I'll eat olives or something. It kind of helps to just remind people, hey, we're fundraising for charity. This is what we're doing. Even if you only donate $1, it still makes a difference. So anything you can spare is appreciated, or spread the word on social media. Just kind of plugging it and reminding people of what you're doing can help kind of pull you out of that slow moment, I think.
I think there's the adaptation, kind of the skill that you use just as a streamer in general. Do you ever kind of slowly adapt, like, okay, look, we're going to do kind of an in-stream incentive that isn't listed. You know, if you come in and donate this much, we'll do this real quick, or something that's not necessarily on the pre-planned list, but just something to kind of generate a little more excitement, a little more hype to kind of move it forward. Have you done that before as well?
Oh yeah. I think that really helps. Like you said, sometimes it's just out of the blue, like this was totally unplanned, but we want to get more donations coming in, so I'm just going to do this right now. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll do like a one-day sale for one of my incentives. So let's say like eating olives is normally $50 an olive. Oh, today only it's $25 for one olive. And that can kind of get people going too, because that helps to reiterate that sense of urgency that I mentioned earlier.
I love olives.
Are they
Man, if you ever need someone to eat olives for charity.
Now.
Yeah.
Are they pitted or not pitted?
Are they what?
Pitted or not pitted? Do they
What
have
do
the
you mean?
pits?
The
The
olives.
olives. Do they still have the pits?
Oh, the olives. I thought you were talking about the incentives. No, they're not. I had spicy rustic olives and they were terrible. And then, kind of the same realm. I had my boyfriend on stream and someone donated for us to do Bean Boozled. Someone else donated for us to eat olives. And then I was like, hold on, how much? I turned to him and I was like, how much should we charge people to put a Bean Boozled bean inside of an olive and eat it together? And then we just kind of named a random price, and everybody wanted to see it, so somebody donated it, and it wasn't as bad as you'd think. I think I got like pencil shavings, so I had like pencil shavings and an olive, but
Texturally, that seems like it wouldn't be great. Just like flavor for a moment, just the sweetness of an olive, and then like the squishiness of a jelly bean.
I'm glad to be behind the scenes helping them plan, not the one eating the Bean Boozled beans in olives. Oh, gosh. That's,
Yeah, it was bad.
So I think, Meg's so good that she's already kind of like addressing questions that we have in our list. So one thing I think where we are is kind of, how do you handle like that negative feeling? Because, we're all human beings. You have those lulls, or you have someone, come into chat and be kind of a smart ass and they say something that kind of, puts off the mood. How do you approach that?
You just have to remember what you care about with the charity. I think pretty much every charity stream that I've done, I've had some random like Joe Schmo come in and they start criticizing the charity, like, oh, they don't do this right, they don't do that right. And I'm just like, we're fundraising for charity and you're coming in and just being a jerk. Like, I think we are spending our time better. But normally I just won't even address that. I will just purge them, time them out, ban them if they don't stop, and just like move on from it and remember why I care about the charity, why I'm doing this, not what they think, not what matters to them, but why it matters to me and why I want to do this. So I think kind of refocusing on why you're doing it, that will really help to kind of push away that negative feeling that might come about.
Yeah, because it's the internet, right? Because you've never seen like, the bell ringers of Salvation Army at your grocery store or whatever. That's the equivalent of someone yelling at the bell ringer.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? It's like
the
bell ringer's doing something nice. Why? Like, don't do that. But yeah, it just happens. It's the internet, sadly.
Galen's always, walks past them and he's like, hey, do you guys accept debit or credit? No? Oh, well, sorry that he runs past.
Oh, no.
I never have cash on me. What can I say? I only have cash on me to play a poker game.
Little iPhone swipers yet?
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe you can donate those as your charitable multiplier. Donate the means for them to take in more money.
Planting a seed.
Yeah, there you go. That is actually an interesting idea. So beyond sort of dealing with potential negativity from the fact that the internet is a wonderful and terrible place. What do you do to protect yourself and your business when you're charity streaming?
Protect myself how? Safety wise?
Safety wise, and also just mental health wise. And then on the business side, make sure that you're not hurting your business by doing charity streaming, like revealing too much about it, or like we were talking about revenue stuff earlier.
Sure. Yeah. I think you definitely have to look at your business itself. And when you're putting everything together, like take that into account. Like look at, the money that you have saved up. Can I cover rent with what I have in savings? Can I cover all of these necessary things that I have in savings? I think the holidays are a time where, a lot of people want to fundraise because that's the time of year you want to give back. But you also have to think, oh, I have to buy, holiday presents for my family. Like all of those little things, you want to take that into account when you're planning about it or planning everything. And with safety, I think it's just important to just kind of have all of your personal information locked down no matter what. For example, for me with the Toys for Tots stream that I was doing, when I was vlogging, I had to be pretty careful of, showing the location. I was careful when I was filming the Toys R Us. I was careful filming near my home, just because it's really important to be safe, because you don't want, there's so many bad things that happen nowadays, which is crappy and it sucks, but you just have to think ahead and take care of yourself and your family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like just a lot of pre-planning around what could go wrong.
Exactly.
And preempting
it sucks that you have to be kind of paranoid. I've always been sort of a paranoid person, just because I'm a perfectionist. I'm paranoid about things going wrong, but I think in a way it helps you to prevent things from going wrong, because you're thinking about what could go wrong, so you're taking steps to prevent it.
That makes sense. So we have some questions in chat. We're going to have a bit of time for potentially some more questions to come into chat. But one last sort of pre-written one we have for you is, while we're waiting for questions to come in, what upcoming charity events do you have? Give yourself a plug.
Yes, this is one that really means a lot to me. It's still kind of hard for me to talk about, just because it's still so fresh and sensitive. But I have... Prior to recently, I had never lost a loved one in, such an intense way. It was something that I hadn't experienced. And on the morning of Halloween, I woke up at about 6 a.m. to my mom crying, saying something terrible has happened. And I was like, what could it be? And my mind was kind of going through all of this, just like I was running in my head trying to figure out what could have gone wrong. And we found out that my cousin Samantha, who was only 30, she was an incredibly talented artist. She was an art teacher who touched so many lives, like hundreds of students that she had. She had committed suicide and passed away, which was truly heartbreaking. And it was hard for us to go through. I was very, very close with her growing up. When I was little, she was kind of just this person who I always looked up to because of the way that she always wanted to do things for people. She was a teacher, but she was never one of those teachers who was like, oh, I'm holier than thou. Like, I'm high and mighty because I'm a teacher and you're the student. She looked like a student. She acted like a student. She had this open door sort of policy where anybody could come in and talk to her at any time and she would be there for them, which I just thought was so amazing. She really just connected with people and always wanted to help people and guide people. And so it's been hard for us to go through, but it's seeing my aunt, her mom and her dad and her brother face this loss has been so hard for us to see. And I was just racking my brain, how can I help them? And so I came up with this idea, well, what if I do a fundraiser in her honor? To kind of help, spread her legacy a little bit. And so I brought the idea up to my aunt and she absolutely loved it. And it means so much to them. And it's helping them through the loss because it's helping them see that her legacy will live on and impact so many other people. So we're doing a fundraiser shirt for, with some of her art on it. Because again, she was really, really talented and amazing artist. And we're also doing a fundraiser and all of it will benefit the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in her name. So that's what I've got upcoming. That will be on December 22nd. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be really great.
Gotcha. Okay.
The holidays, one thing I want to say, it was in my notes, is that the holidays can be a tough time for a lot of people. So if you're ever feeling alone or tough, just, give someone a call, talk to someone. Just wanted to say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know that that's coming up because, gosh, that's definitely a charity. I mean, I'm definitely going to look through the shirts and find one that will look good on me and grab that because that's a really important thing. And I think that is a great way to honor a memory, is to have them live on in a way that would have been meaningful to them.
Exactly. Yeah, completely agree.
So we had a couple questions come in. One of the first one was from NZ Charlie, who I'm guessing is New Zealand Charlie, given the question. But it was he or she wants to do a 1-day charity stream for a very small charity that's local. Is there anything that you do to raise awareness for that charity before the stream or during the stream? What would it take to hype up a charity that isn't bringing its own hype, like St. Jude is, for instance?
I think the most important thing with any charity, whether it's a big charity like St. Jude that everybody's kind of heard of, or if it's something small and local, is showing people why they should be passionate about it. So even for me, when I fundraise for St. Jude, I like to show the patient videos, because I can sit there and talk about St. Jude as much as I want, but it's a different thing when people can see the patients and see their faces and hear their stories from them and their parents and their families, and really connect with them in that way. So I think maybe pulling elements that you love about the charity and really emphasizing them and explaining to people, this is what this charity does, this is why it's incredible, this is why I care about it. It will help to extend that passion to your viewers and help to show them why they should support the cause.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And I'd also say, Charlie, if you're, talk about it while you're on stream, right? If you're on social media, talk about it out there.
Yes.
If there are other people in your community who may or may not participate in the stream, but would be willing to talk about it, like that could help a lot. These kinds of efforts tend to be very grassroots when they start, and anything you can do to help spread the word about it. You never know who might be touched by that charity. Because that's pretty cool. Reintroducing Kiwis to popular areas, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Kiwis are also very cute, so probably very easy to do on social media.
That's true, yeah. Just show pictures of them.
And I would say, kind of like looking at how Meg's talked about the charities that she, streams for and works with, is that she talks about how they're important to her and why they're important in a very genuine manner. And so I would say kind of apply that to what you want to do for charity and apply that to your community when you're communicating with them about it.
Yep, absolutely. Because people really do connect to... You really do connect to other people, and so you do connect to the things that they talk about when you can see that it's important for them.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. So next question we had was from Adrios, and it was, what would be a good charity organization to start with for one's first charity stream? I see a ton of people doing stuff for St. Jude's. Is that a good one? I'll jump in first for a sec and say I think a good charity is sort of like what we just talked about, one that's meaningful to you, so that people can really see the passion that you feel about it when you're doing that stream. But you guys?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was going to say. I echo your thoughts completely. I think the most important thing, St. Jude, 100%, that's an incredible charity. It's one of the ones that means the most to me, and that's why I fundraise for them. But I think the most important thing is passion, first and foremost. I think that's something that comes across to your viewers. If you're really passionate and you really care about something, they're going to sense that, and it's going to help show them why it's a cause they should care about and why they should donate to your fundraiser. So I think the first thing should be something that you're passionate about. If you might be in that place where you're not really too familiar enough with any charities yet that you have that passion, doing research is a great way to do it. For me, honestly, I feel like even just watching a handful of the St. Jude patient videos, which are available on YouTube, that just can drive anybody to see, wow, this place is amazing. So any of the research that you do, that's why they have these websites. They want to show you what their cause is all about. So definitely take some time to research ones that pop up to you in your mind, and see which one you feel would be the best fit.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And also, hi, Adria. So I think we got a chance to talk on Friday at Negorx's thing. I recognize the name. Next question here is from Wes, and it's if you're very passionate about a particular charity, but it's coming up on something like Extra Life Season, some other really big charitable effort, how do you balance what you're passionate about versus what is going to be very potentially popular and maybe even overwhelm what you're trying to do? Have you run into that before, and if so, what did you do?
I guess you could say I've run into it because I usually do my Toys for Tots fundraisers during Extra Life Season.
Okay.
And I think, honestly, I don't think you should let popularity impact your decision. Again, I think passion is the most important thing. And I think, if anything, if you're fundraising for a different cause than a lot of other people are, it might even make yours stand out even more. So I just think you should, I honestly wouldn't even take that into account. I would just figure out what is most important to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that makes a ton of sense. NZ Charlie asked, would you wait until you had a certain follower base or regular number of viewers before you did a charity stream?
I don't think that you have to. I think the most important thing is just having people that you can tap into who will spread the word and who will donate, even if that's family members, even if that's close friends from your real personal life and real life. When I did my first fundraiser, we raised just over $200 for Make-A-Wish, and it was when I was averaging, I think, like 10 viewers, only a couple months into streaming. So I definitely don't think you have to wait, but I would come up with some sort of plan where, you know, if you don't have a lot of people regularly tuning in, you can say, okay, well, I'm going to post about it on my personal Facebook page, so my family will see it. I'll talk to my family about it. I'll get, you know, people from my life to tune in, and that kind of thing I think will really help.
Yeah, and I think too, also helping yourself with some reasonable expectations too. You're probably not going to raise $20K in your first charity stream, especially if, you know, if you were talking about numbers consistency is something that you're still working with. So, you know, I mean, well, this was probably true of a lot of members of Team Sin Squad, right? A bunch of them probably had $100, $500 goals, something like that, where if you're reasonable with your goals, hitting it still a cause for celebration. That's still, as Meg was saying, that's still money you raise for charity.
Yeah, and there's so many great communities out there too. There's a whole St. Jude Play Live Discord. I think Extra Life has a big community as well that you can tap into, and people love to support each other in that instance. With Team Sin Squad, we have streamers of all different sizes fundraising, but everybody was banding together and supporting each other. And so that's the important thing, is just having people there to support you.
The fundamentals don't change.
Exactly.
Plan, network, you know, do things in a reasonable way, and you should hit your goals, hopefully.
Yep. And again, as Meg said, even if you don't hit all of your goals or even one of them, if you raised $1 for a charity, that's $1 more than they had before.
Exactly.
And it's not just the money raise, it's the awareness about the charity itself, right? Someone may not be able to donate now, but they may have a thought, you know, once I get my finances in order, I have some more disposable income, you know, what if they go volunteer for the charity? Sometimes that's
maybe they'll win the lottery and they'll remember all the stuff that you told them about this charity, and then that'll be the charity they choose because of your influence. You just never know.
Yeah, that person who hasn't claimed the, in South Carolina the Mega Millions yet, last I read, maybe they'll donate it all to charity.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't see any more questions right now that are actual questions, at least. But so I think that's all we had. Ernest, was there anything else on your end?
No.
Or is there any? Actually, is Tax Guy? Are there? What are the major things to watch out for, in your opinion, when you're charity streaming?
So the key thing is that you don't offer any tax advice to anyone. Don't say like, hey, you get a tax write-off for this, because you know, you don't know the individual's tax circumstances. You don't know what's going on with them. They may not be a U.S. citizen, but they may be donating because they like your stream. They see the passion you have for the cause. Ideally,
it's a write-off thing always makes me roll my eyes, because it's like, it's a write-off if they're going to give more than $12,000 and have all these other things also come into play and are in the U.S.
It's the problem with tax that I've always said is it's nice that you can talk in sound bites, but the devil's always in the details. Now, the other thing that we talked about earlier is, you know, try not to have the funds hit your personal account. You know, have it go through a broker intermediary like Tiltify or something that'll go from, you know, the donator directly to the charity. And if it does end up in your account, I would kind of talk to the payment receiver, PayPal in this case, be like, look, this was for a charity, here's the documentation, and try to get them to clean it up on your end. They will do that. You know, you may have to raise a pretty substantial amount, but I've heard of them doing it for amounts as quote unquote little as $1,000 to $2,000. So, you know, that's something you could do. And like Wes said, just don't let it go through your account. That's the key thing.
Yeah, and if you're going to do something like what I did with Toys for Tots, you also have to keep in mind like the PayPal fees and stuff like that. I opted to cover out of pocket because I did want to be able to purchase the toys that way to kind of show the experience. But you do have to keep in mind PayPal fees. And I saw Adriosa mention chargebacks. That's another important thing to keep in mind too. Unfortunately, it does happen. People charge back donations. So definitely just have receipts and fight the chargeback the way you normally would. But again, if you're fundraising through a platform like Tiltify and it's not touching your PayPal, then you don't have to handle the chargebacks.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to have to explain. I mean, not that I'd ever plan to charge back something like that, but I would also hate to be the person having to explain, Yeah, I'm trying to charge back my donation to charity, like
Yeah, I know.
an extra
So,
level.
hold on. So to be clear, someone stole your credit card or got access to your account, and they decided to donate it all to charity.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So you do.
So Robin Hood is alive.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
You do get a lot of extra protection by going through something like a Tiltify, just because then your hands aren't on the money, and your hands being on the money are one of the things that can get the most sticky, essentially.
And it's
Yeah.
one less thing you have to worry about, right? So like, make your life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year when I was doing Toys for Tots, I ran into an issue where when I was in Toys R Us, I was trying to pay with my PayPal debit, and it was a large amount of money. It was over $11,000. I called them 3 times in advance to say, hey, I'm going to be making an $11,000 purchase, just to let you know.
Right.
Can you make sure that it's not going to be blocked? It's for charity. I got there, they rung up all of these toys, and sure enough, my card was declined. So I stood there on the phone for over 2 hours, just on hold, waiting to get to a person. And yeah, it was kind of a nightmare. So there's just all these little things that make things more complicated when you're doing it through, your own means. So it's definitely better to use something like Tiltify.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's. I'm feeling a little like just hearing
I was trying
that.
so hard to be prepared, and it was like calling 3 times in advance
Yeah.
was not enough. It just still got declined, and they told me it'd be fine.
That happens if you've ever traveled internationally and you tell
Yeah.
them, look, I'm leaving the country. I'm going to be in this country.
Ooh, shit,
And
Yeah.
if my card gets scanned, don't cancel, don't block it, let it go through.
Yeah.
Get there, nope.
Yep.
You remind me. I still need to do that.
Oh,
For
that's right,
this
yeah.
trip that we
So
have coming up.
listen, see, we're so good at segues. So I think that's it then. Outros?
Yeah, I didn't see any sort of questions, and we want to free up Meg from her super busy schedule. Oh, wait, hold on. We got one. Other than direct donation links, is there anything like Tiltify that might deal with more of the places you want to support? Not that I am aware of. I would build in mostly the direct donation stuff. The hard part then comes with the stream integration, because and Meg, I'm sure, can talk about this a lot more than me, but really, as Meg was saying, what makes donations on Twitch so, frankly, surprisingly high is that interactive nature, is the response that you see, is the challenges that they put in place, whatever it is, get to eat the Bean Boozled olive, or horrifying pizza, or whatever it is. So I think the hard part there, even with a direct link making it so that you aren't touching the money, is then how do you get that to feed back to your stream so that they actually get that live feedback that then drives so much more engagement. Do you know of any other platforms, Meg, that do that?
I can't really think of any. I always just go to Tiltify because they're constantly adding new features. They have Streamlabs integration and just all this stuff that makes a huge difference. Even just having alerts makes a huge difference, but you can display people's names on screen. Just all these little things really, really help.
And all of the Tiltify folks that I've talked with at
they're
cons
awesome.
and stuff, right, they're super helpful.
Yeah.
So if this is something that they didn't have on their platform, for instance, I'm sure if you talk to them, they could either make an effort to get it there, or maybe give you some resources that might help you solve that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's very easy to contact them, and if you don't see a charity that you want to fundraise for on there, you can always request it, and they will take the steps to see if they can add it to the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen someone bootstrap it, and they were, not huge by any means, but they simply set up a charity drive and screen captured the website and just would refresh it manually. So just kind of like bootstrapping a solution. You don't get the integration, but it's something. If it's really something you're passionate about, I mean, don't let that stop you.
Right.
Just don't let it touch your account is what I would say.
Yeah, I would tend to agree there. All right. So wrapping up outro-wise, Meg, why don't you again repeat who you are and remind us again about when you've got your upcoming charity stuff.
Sure. I'm MegKaylee. You can find me at twitch.tv/MegKaylee. That's KAYLEE. And I'm on all social media as Meg_Kaylee. And my upcoming charity stream for AFSP will be on December 22nd. So I hope I can see some of you guys there.
Mm-hmm. You'll definitely see me there.
And something we've added as a tradition on the show is something cool you're looking forward to personally, not business related, something cool, whether it's a movie or just something you're looking forward to.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm looking forward to my brother coming home from college. Is that cheesy?
No,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That should be soon. So, yeah, that would be
Cool.
mine.
Very good. I am Ernest Jones. You can find me on Twitter, WARBNULL. DMs are open if you have any questions. I had someone reach out to me last night, had an exchange over the course of the day. So if you have questions, hit me up.
He's
Tonight,
the best accountant you could ever have if you're a streamer. I'm just saying. He
Well,
made my
thank
life
you.
so much better.
Listen, I will take it. Thank you for the compliment. Disclaimer. So we both, Galen, you work with Meg as well. So we both work with her. But we wanted to focus on charity today and not kind of the business side of things.
Yeah.
So tonight, Captain Marvel trailer drops, the second one. Apparently Wednesday, the Avengers of Infinity War trailer 2 will finally see the title. And I got that dope Spider-Man looking movie, the animated one, coming out next week. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Nice. So yeah, I'm Galen Herbster Cortina. I'm a financial planner. And I guess my DMs are still technically open, but my slots are not because it is the end of year and I am very busy.
I'm sure you can fit in some more, Galen. Let me round some people up. Let's make this work.
You don't have to sleep. It's
Yeah,
fine.
right. Exactly.
You're not going out of
And so the thing that I'm looking forward to is that on Thursday night, my wife and I are flying to Miami, and on Friday going on the Viewboat cruise, which Moblord organized,
Yay!
which should be a ton of fun. It's going to be my wife's first ever cruise, which is going to be awesome. Because
You went
frankly,
last year, right?
huh?
You went last year, right? Or no?
No.
Oh.
We didn't go on Viewboat last year. Otherwise, this wouldn't be her first cruise. I have been on a couple that my family has done, and really, I can't imagine anything that she would like more than being able to drink while sitting in the sun and reading. So she's
It's
just
perfect for
basically
that.
set. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And actually, on that note, Ernest, how you feeling about taking the reins next week? Is that a yes? Is that a no?
So tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week we will be taking a week off. We just be streaming into the camera alone, I think. And Galen does all of the stream production because he's a pro streamer now. Because we talked about before the show, he's now streamed he's an affiliate. He's a pro streamer as he lorded over me TwitchCon in 2018. So I can't do the show without him. He's indispensable and a fantastic human being, as is Meg, a fantastic
Aw.
and wonderful person for all the good she puts back into the world.
Absolutely.
Aw.
So thank you everyone so much for coming and watching this. Charity is really important to all three of us, and it's really become a core part of the Twitch platform. So if you are someone who is looking to grow on Twitch, frankly, not a bad idea. Plus, then just everyone will love you a bit more, right? Because you're so awesome at doing charity stuff. So it's just generally a good thing all around. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Ernest. And we will see you guys in 2-ish weeks. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.